We're the Red Tent Mums. We run the Red Tent Clinic here in Sydney's Bondi Beach in Australia, and we just love what we do. We're super passionate about women's health. We see lots of pregnant mums, we see women, we see babies, and we treat them all with acupuncture and Chinese medicine. We also run online courses and programs for midwives that are accredited by the American College of Nurse Midwives and the Australian College of Midwives. And we run programs for mums to help them with their kids and with their own health.
So we created these videos because we really wanted to spread the word about how to use these techniques throughout your pregnancy, throughout your birth. They've just been so effective. We've seen them used time and time again. They're really powerful, and the midwives and the women and the couples always report back to us with incredible feedback. So we thought it was time to bring it to you, to bring it to every woman that could get her hands on them, the capacity to have a better, more empowering and positive birth.
Because we've been doing these courses for years actually, normally face-to-face in smaller groups. We've been running them online with midwives, and so we just wanted to get the message out there in a much bigger way because it's a really important one. And I think the beauty of it is they're safe, they're easy to administer, they're really hands-on, they get that communication going with your birthing partner or partners. They're just awesome. They can do so many things. They reduce pain, they get babies into better positions, they calm you down,
they keep the labour moving along, and they really help engender a feeling of confidence and support as you're going into your birth process. And we know how important that is for a positive outcome.
That's right. There's so much research that says the more support you have, the more likely you're able to have that outcome that you want.
So we're really excited to share these with you, and we hope you enjoy the videos ahead.
We want to tell you a little bit about Chinese medicine because it's quite different to what you're used to, Western medicine. And Chinese medicine has been around for 2,500 years or more. It's really ancient. And it's a complete system of medicine. So you've got medicine for chronic conditions, you've also got medicine for acute conditions. And they just see the body in a completely different way. So the mind, the body, and the spirit are connected very intimately. And then there's this other paradigm called the yin-yang. There's this yin-yang symbol. And the yin-yang, everything in nature and the universe can be explained in terms of yin and yang. So a pregnant woman walks around and she's yin. And while she's birthing, that's like more moving energy, that's considered yang. Everything on your body, like the upper part of your body is yang, the lower part of your body is yin. Night is yin, day is yang. So everything can be talked about in terms of that. And then we have this amazing system called the meridians, and energy flows through these meridians. And the meridians are connected to internal organs. And it's just a fascinating topic. We could go on for ages.
Absolutely.
But we don't have time.
And our acupuncture points and the acupressure points lie on these meridians, and we'll be going into them in a little bit more detail soon.
We will be. So under the umbrella of Chinese medicine, you have acupuncture, you have acupressure, you have Chinese herbal medicine, you have diet, super important, and you've got lifestyle advice. So all of those things come under the umbrella of Chinese medicine. So today, we're really going to be focusing on acupressure.
So what is acupressure? Acupressure involves specific focus on an acupoint which lies on a meridian, and these acupoints transmit information into the body, into the system, to give them different cues about what you could do to either get more balanced or relieve pain, and in doing so it also releases endorphins, and endorphins are so important for birth. It allows the process to keep going, and it can also suppress some of the adrenaline that can come in and take over when fear takes hold.
That's right. So you might have heard of that fear, tension, pain cycle that happens throughout birth. So if you're getting scared and then the adrenaline gets going, and then you don't have as much endorphins flowing, and that's what you really need lots of happy hormones in birth to keep everything flowing and to keep the blood in your uterus. That's where we want it to be, not in your arms and feet so you can run away.
And Beck, how is acupressure different from massage?
It's very different because it's that specific pressure on a spot. So we're not massaging broadly over an area, it's a specific spot. And the techniques we're going to be teaching you are going to be telling you a little bit about how to move the energy down, how to get the baby into the right position, how to eliminate pain for you, bring that right down.
And massage does kind of release those endorphins too, and also enables you to have that contact, which acupressure does too. But having the specific input into that point can make it really focused on what you're trying to achieve, whether it's pain relief, whether that's relaxation, all the different kinds of things that can come up in a birth.
When using acupressure, it's really important to use your body weight as much as possible. So what does that mean? That means making sure you're sinking into your hips, you're bending your knees. When you're pressing, when your partner's pressing on you, they're like using their body weight and they're moving into it. They're not kind of going like that. That's going to really hurt them and it's not going to feel great.
And it's important that you feel comfortable, because that makes a big impact on how the woman's feeling when she's receiving it. Like, they can kind of pick up if you're, in this strange position like this and exerting tension and pressure.
And they'll be like, get off me.
Doesn't feel that comfortable. So it's really important that you get yourself comfortable first before applying the acupressure.
Absolutely. So what is the right pressure? We often get asked that question. The right pressure is what's right for you, what's right for the pregnant mum. So you need to ask her. That's where the communication starts. That's why this course is so great, because you start that communication flowing about what feels right for her. And what feels right for her in the lead up to birth might be totally different on the day. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
And when you start exerting the pressure, you should start really lightly, so you're not making her cringe first. So you kind of find the point, get your location, and then increase the pressure gently.
We often get asked, should you press the point on one side of the body or is it both? Well, it's always both. However, having said that, if you can't get to a certain spot during the birth, that's okay. You always work with what you have.
You take what you can get.
Yeah, but if you have a choice and you are able to do both sides, do both sides. And the other thing we say is, especially in the lead up to birth, it's good to press the points for 3 to 5 minutes on each point. So you might think, oh, that's a fairly long time and my thumb might get sore. So that's why your body weight's really important. And also you can be pressing the point, but then you can have a little rest and then keep pressing it. It's not like you have to press it continuously for 3 to 5 minutes. You have a little rest and press again.
And during the birth, you might choose to use the points just throughout a contraction for pain relief. These points have been proven to be totally safe throughout pregnancy and birth. However, you will notice that we say that some points are contraindicated, which means you shouldn't use them up until your 38th week of pregnancy. And that's because those points are designed to help get the body really ready for labour, and obviously we're not wanting to do that before then.
The great thing about these points in general too is that if you do end up needing an epidural, you can still use the points to help calm you, help do any number of things, to help reduce your anxiety around having a needle, that sort of thing.
And the same, it can be used throughout a cesarean as well.
Yeah, so there's lots of points you can use, so it's not just for natural birth only.
So at some time throughout the birth, a pregnant lady might just, push you aside and go, nah, I don't want it. And don't let that deter you for the whole rest of the birth, because what that means is not that point in that way at that moment. And birthing process just keeps changing, her body keeps changing, her reactions and her needs keep changing. So don't let yourself get put off by that moment, and just check in between the contraction. What was it? Was it the pressure? Was it that spot? And then see if there might be another way that you can re-engage. In Chinese medicine, we refer to a measurement called a chun, which is the person's one thumb width. It helps to locate the points really accurately. Another measurement that we refer to is 3 chun, which is equivalent to 3 thumb width, but an easy way to measure it is the person's hand width. So this actually equals 3 thumb widths.
We've got got 3 main groups of points that we're going to be teaching you. The first group of points is all about birth and the lead up to birth. The second group is all points you can use throughout your pregnancy as well as birth. And the final group is how to use them all together, the point combinations. So let's get into it. We're here with Dave and Belinda today, and Belinda's 34 weeks pregnant. We're going to be teaching you spleen 6. That's one of the most important points for preparing for birth as well as birth itself. This point is really, really fabulous at helping to ripen and soften the cervix.
And during birth, it helps the cervix to keep dilating. It's also amazing at getting contractions regular, strong, and really effective. So in that pre-labour period, it's really good to get things out of pre-labour and into labour. And similarly, during birth, if things slow down a tad, which happens quite often, especially in first births, this point is really good to kind of kickstart things back into action.
Yeah. So let's find it now. Where is it? It is 3 chun up from the highest tip of the malleolus, up the leg, and underneath the shin bone. But first of all, we need to make sure that your 3 chun is the same as mine, or the same as each other's. So you should really, I want you two to look at each other and see, Belinda's 4 fingers, how many of your fingers is that, Dave?
It's 3.
3. Okay, so you'd be using your 3 fingers to go up her leg to find it, but for me it's 4. And you go up, and then to find the alive point, which is like the point that is right for you and feels the strongest, what I normally recommend is giving 3 spots. So saying which one feels the most tender.
Okay.
1, 2, or 3.
The third one.
The third one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that ends up being the point that you use. So Dave, do you want to give that a go now?
So it's her 4 fingers and his 3rd, and you're coming from the tip of the ankle bone.
Okay, so that's your starting point.
Closer, yeah.
How's that?
Okay, great.
So you can use this point in the lead up to birth from about 38 weeks. Use it for 3 to 5 minutes on both ankles at the same time, and then you can start to amp it up a bit. So at 39 weeks you can use it twice a day, and when you're really ready to go you can use it 3 to 4 times a day.
The next point we're going to tell you about is large intestine 4. It's on the large intestine channel, which happens to be on your hand. Yeah, or it goes all the way up and follows and finishes right there. Anyway, this is a great point for regulating contractions.
And pain relief. It
Yes.
is your best friend when it comes to natural pain relief.
Yeah. So let's tell them how to find it.
Okay, so it's midway in between that bone and the finger, in the fleshy part between the finger and the thumb. So you can use it by pinching until you get a nice strong sensation. Can you feel that, Belinda?
Yep.
Would you like to have a go?
Sure. How's that?
Very strong.
So, as we were saying previously, it's good if you start a bit gently and then get stronger.
Okay, so this point is great again to use from 38 weeks on. So it helps in preparing for labour, so it can get things moving. It also is great with pain relief, so it's really good for you guys to establish the feedback and communication, what feels right, how you like it, what pressure. And you might find during the birth you want increased pressure during a contraction as well.
Should you feel the effects straight away?
Pretty much during birth you do feel the effects straight away, and you'll find like it's really good to access in any position, and normally you'll see like a woman will just kind of automatically start to bring her hand up, you know, like when a contraction comes, because it's so effective straight away right through the contraction. And that's why I was saying you can build up that pressure. So often with contractions they do build up, so you can increase the intensity as that contraction builds up.
Bladder 31 and 32 are great points at minimising pain during labour, and they're also beautiful to use during pre-labour as well,
as they help to get things moving and keep them moving.
Yeah, so how you find it is, it's actually one of the woman's index finger widths above the top of her bum crack. So you want to find that, go up, and then you go one thumb width either side of the spine, and then you're pressing into those it's actually the holes actually inside the sacrum. So it's not the dimples, it's just in from there, and that's where you want to be pressing. You can use thumbs, you can use elbows, you can use the palms of your hand, you can use knuckles. Yeah, and you want to be really using your body weight for these points for them to feel good and to give you a lot of relief, and they really can give you heaps of relief.
So often she might be standing up or leaning over, and you can use your body weight to really press into those points, and you'll find she might give you a bit of resistance back, and it's her body's way of showing you exactly the kind of pressure that works for her.
And if she's swaying and moving, you want to make sure that you're swaying and moving as well at the same time.
So you encourage those movements. It's really easy to hold the points and let her body keep rocking. You might even want to suggest rocking just with your hands as you're using the points to see if she takes it up. If she doesn't, she doesn't. If she does, it might be helpful for her.
Bladder 60 is found on the bladder meridian, which is one of the longest meridians on the body. Bladder 60 is found over here, and it is brilliant at descending the baby into the best position for labour.
So it's a descending point, but it also can help turn the bubba. So some of you might have heard of back labour or OP or occipital posterior, and that can make the birth be a little bit harder, a bit longer and a bit more painful. So if you hear those words getting floated around your delivery suite, it's really good to pull this out of your toolkit. And how you use it is you get your little pincers and come around from the tip of that ankle bone again, and about halfway between the tip of the ankle and the Achilles tendon here, you'll find the point, and you use it by pinching on either side. Would you like to come around and try that?
Yeah, come around and try it, because this one doesn't have as strong a sensation as some of the others. It's actually quite mild, so it won't feel as strong as some of the others, but you're still on the right spot.
So from about here?
Yeah, looks good. That looks good. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's very mild.
Yeah, it's so
This
different.
point doesn't have a strong sensation. Some of the other ones do have a bit of a bite, but this one doesn't so much. So you can kind of trust you're on the right point if you know the location and you're pinching around the right spot. Gallbladder 21 is an amazing point. It does so many different things. It can be used during the birth to help deliver the placenta, and that's one of the main amazing functions it has. But it can be also used in the lead up to the birth to help bring things on, because it also has a descending action. So it helps the bub get into place, and having that pressure on the cervix can really help move things along. It's also quite a calming point. And then post-birth, it can be used to stimulate the letdown reflex, which supports breastfeeding.
And you find this point because it's on the top of the shoulder, so it's halfway between the tip of the acromion and your vertebra here. So you go along there and it's halfway between, and that's where you're going to press down. You can use your middle fingers, you can use your elbows. If she's a bit lower and sitting on a football, then you can really lean into it with your body weight, and that really helps. You actually don't need to use very much body weight at all, sometimes like 5-10%. That's all you need.
These points are often really tender, so it's easy to find a tender point on a woman when you're looking for it. It can also be really easy to find and be so helpful and supportive when she's breastfeeding, to just come behind her, find the point and lean it a little bit. Women will really appreciate that. So stomach 36 is an amazing point for energy. Its literal translation from the Chinese Zhu San Li means leg 3 miles. And the reason it was called this, because in the old times, the Chinese used to march their armies for days, miles on end. And when it came to a point where everyone was just collapsing with exhaustion, they'd get them to sit down, rub this point for a few minutes, and then it was said they could walk another 3 miles. So, as we said, labour is a bit like a marathon, and there might be a time where you get to a point where you just feel like, I'm so exhausted, I just can't keep going, and then this is an amazing point to bring out of your toolkit.
Totally, and it also has some really great downward moving energy, and that means getting the baby down and out of your body, which is, the name of the game. Yeah, really helpful, exactly.
So how do we find it?
Okay, so it's 3 chun, which is the woman's 4 finger widths, down from under the patella, and then you go 1 of the finger widths out to the side. So it's just kind of roughly in there. And if you're not sure, start at that point, go up a little bit, 1, 2, 3, and get some feedback as to which one feels the best.
I think the lowest one.
Okay, so there it is. Do you want to find
And then
that
3 to 5 minutes on that point.
Okay.
This point's safe to use throughout the whole of pregnancy.
So you're probably a bit low there actually, because the patella is up a bit higher. So you kind of come with your, start sort of around there and move
Is this
down.
the edge of the patella?
That's the patella there, yeah.
So about there?
Start there and move down a little bit. Yeah.
That one, I think. Again, yeah, the low one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gallbladder 30 is this great point. It's found right in the center of the buttock, really, that kind of big buttocky muscle there. And it's a great point. It's quite a broad point, so you don't have to be as precise as some of the other ones. And a lot of women do carry a lot of tension in this area. So if you help release that all throughout the pregnancy, that's great. And then it's also really good to use during birth as well. I absolutely loved this one during my second birth.
Because it's quite tender on women, it can be a real amazing source of pain relief because it's quite a strong point. It's like a nice diversion from the other kind of pain you're feeling.
Yeah, so the way you find it is if you clench your butt cheeks and there's a bit of a hollow, it's there in the hollow. And if that doesn't really work for you, finding it that way, you can actually locate the outer hip bone, the top of the trochanter there, the outer hip bone at the top.
The widest part of your hip.
Yeah, where the bony bit is. And then you feel where the lower part of your spine is. And then you come like 1/3 of the way across, like 1/3, and then you press in there. And you can actually press both of the points at the same time. You can press them with your thumbs at the same time. You can do heel of hand as well. And it can really help to contain the energy that you're feeling because it can be quite strong and intense.
And you're using this point a lot when she's either leaning on the rail or leaning on the hospital bed or a beanbag or a football, or you can even do it if she's sitting on a football. And again, you don't want to limit or restrict her movement. So it's quite easy to be holding these points and swaying with her, rocking with her, and you can alternate the intensity of pressure. So as she leans more into one side, you can push a bit more into there. As she leans more into the other side, you can push a bit more into there. And that can also help with pain relief because it's a little bit of a diversionary input to the brain.
This next point we're going to tell you about is called bladder 67. It's right on the end of the bladder channel and it's quite amazing at turning the baby into the best position.
So in birth again, if you hear the midwives talking about OP, back labour position, and you've tried your pincers on either side of the ankle, you can try this one as well.
Yeah, now this one is a very little point and it's found right here at the tip. So it's like the line where that intersects with the nail, it's right there.
Bottom of the nail and the corner of the nail.
That's right. And so you can use it, you can use the corner of a ruler, could use a pencil or a biro, something with something that's pointy and not too sharp.
So bladder 67 on the corner of the toe there can be used during the labour to help turn a bubba. So you can literally have the pencil or the blunt pen and use that point during a contraction to give that bubba that extra little indication of what to do. Kidney 1 is a beautiful calming point. During birth, you want your energy to be really connected to the earth, and kidney 1 is the point to do that. So the way you locate it is it's under the ball of the foot, just where the colour changes, so you have the kind of more red colouring at the top of
the red, and then it becomes whiter underneath or lighter.
And they kind of come together like that, the little knobble underneath the big toe, and you press in it. You can feel a little depression, like a little hollow in there, and it just feels kind of nice when you press it.
Yeah, so you press in and then sort of up towards the toes to get quite a stronger feeling, and it will really reconnect you and ground you to the earth if you feel like you're wanting to get out of your body, or if your partner notices that that's what's happening, that's the point to press.
Pericardium 6 is going to be your best friend if you have any nausea or vomiting through the birth, and you can use it in your pregnancy for morning sickness as well in that first trimester when you're feeling really queasy and you're vomiting. It's amazing. It just takes the edge off that nausea, so it can often really prevent nausea from going from nausea to vomiting. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, which means it stops things like dehydration during birth, which can lead to a cascade of interventions.
So how you locate pericardium 6 is finding her wrist crease and coming 2 to 3 chun, which is 2 to 3 fingers up from the wrist crease. And it's located between, there's 2 tendons that come up from the wrist crease. So the way you find the 2 tendons is you get the woman to make a fist and then curl it slightly inwards, and you can see the tendons often coming up, and you can definitely feel them. Can you feel the 2 tendons there, Dave? So it's directly in between them, and it's 2 to 3 of her finger widths up, and you go along it until you find a nice tender point.
The second one.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to use this one a bit strongly as well. So we don't want to have a nice, soft, pleasant sensation when we're trying to stop vomiting. It can be nice and soft and pleasant when we're using it for calming, but when we're actually wanting to stop vomiting, we want it to be quite strong.
Holding it until
holding
the feeling
it.
passes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it should stop the vomiting feeling like almost instantly, or within a few seconds really, if it's going to work. Otherwise you're not on the right spot. And then you might try the other arm if that one's not right, or you could do both. Whatever hand you can get to is fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you like to try finding it?
Yeah, sure.
Feel around a bit until you get it.
No, back a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see how she just says yes? There's a kind of feeling of yesness when you've got the right point.
We have some great hand points that are found on the palm of the hand, and the reason they're so awesome is because they cross over the heart channel and the pericardium channel. And in Chinese medicine, these meridians are responsible for holding the spirit and nourishing the spirit. So when we're using them during pregnancy and labour, it's to really help build up those endorphins, those feel-good hormones that help move labour along and help you feel much calmer and more in your body. So one of the best ways you can use this is if you get like one of those old man's combs, and if you pop that like in the palm of your hand like this, and then you can press on it. So I'll pass that over to you so you can feel what it's like. So this is something you can do yourself whilst Dave's doing something else during the birth. That's why it's so great.
So just in the centre.
Exactly, yeah. And then you press down and you'll get a good sensation all across your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had some feedback from women that they just loved these points and they really helped, really
I
worked
know the
well.
St. George midwives, it's one of their personal favourites to bring out when a woman is freaking out a little bit.
Yeah. So this section is on point combinations. It's all about learning how to use the points you've just learnt in combination with each other.
And that way you'll get the best results. So you have an understanding of what you're trying to achieve, if it's slow progression, if it's calming.
Yeah, anything
woman
like
down.
that.
Yeah.
So first we're going to start with slow progression and managing medical inductions.
And to get things going. So even
Yeah.
if things are just running a little bit over time and you want to get things moving, these are your points.
Yeah, what do you use and how do you use them? Okay, so the main points that you're going to be using are large intestine 4,
That fleshy thumb point.
that's right, spleen 6, you found that on your lower inner ankle. You're going to also be using bladder 31 and 32, those lower ones down the back.
And gallbladder 21.
Yeah, the top of the shoulder. So they're your main points. So how would you use them? How do you suggest?
So probably you'd be using them from 38 weeks on, because they're all really lovely points to help the body to prepare for birth. So you can use them 3 to 5 minutes each, both sides of the body. And then as you're wanting to start amping things up when you're getting to your 40-week mark, how often do you want to use them then?
Yeah, well, you can use them 3 times a day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're during a medical induction, say they've given you something called a cervical gel, you'd be wanting to use them even every hour or two to really utilise that time and help move things along.
Exactly. Or if you're in pre-labour and things just aren't progressing, you're having a contraction every 20 minutes or you've been having contractions through the night for a couple of days and then nothing during the day, then certainly do them a couple of times during the day. Now we're going to tell you about a couple of points that are great for calming, relaxing and focusing. So it's that PC6 point that's also great for nausea, beautiful for calming, that one you find there. That's the kidney 1 point on the bottom of the foot. And it's those hand points that you use with a comb, or you can, like at a pinch, you can use them with your nails if you've got longer nails and you can press in if you don't have a comb. But these points used together are beautiful to really get the flow of the endorphins, the oxytocin, all those gorgeous hormones that you need to really get you into labour, get it moving, get it happening.
And to turn things around from that crisis point of, I can't do this anymore, this is all too much for me, hold those points, have a chat, use calming language and try and turn things around again.
This combination of points we're going to tell you about is great for managing a posterior baby and getting the baby into the best position.
So you need to have a chat with your midwife leading up to your birth around 38 weeks to find out what position your baby is in. If you hear the words OP or back labour, occipital posterior, let that ring little alarm bells and send you home to use these points in combination.
That's right. And if, say you don't know that and then you're in labour and it happens then, it's okay, isn't it?
Absolutely, because these points can literally turn things around in the moment for you. So the points you use are spleen 6, which is your inner ankle point, and you use that not to turn the baby but to generate a really strong contraction, because that can help. So first you use the spleen 6 to generate a good contraction. This is during the birth. And then you use bladder 60, which is the one that you use with your little pincers on the outer ankle between the ankle bone and the Achilles tendon. And that combination, that of the bladder 60 point, is what tells the bubba it's time to turn. So use that during the contraction. Use that for the entire length of the contraction.
That's right. And if that's not enough, the next contraction, you can use that bladder 67 point, which is that one right at the end of the little toe. So you can pop that in there as well if you need to.
Yeah, so that bladder 67, another little information message to the baby, turn around.
Yeah.
And literally I've seen this happen in motion. It is remarkable. You use these points and at one birth, you literally saw the bub jump up, turn around, come down, and the next contraction the woman reported totally different sensations and much less pain. It was absolutely beautiful.
Nothing in the back for
amazing.
her anymore. It was all in the front, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is ideally where you'd like it to be.
And from then on the birth just went shoop.
Yeah.
And the bubba was born pretty soon after.
We're going to tell you about some points that really help to assist a slower pushing stage now.
So that's right at the end when you're pushing the baby out. You've done all the hard work and you're at the end.
That's right. And
Almost.
you most likely are exhausted. So the points that you'll need are stomach 36, that one just below the knee to the outside. And then you'll also need gallbladder 21, helps with the downward draining energy, getting the baby out. And then also spleen 6.
Because you want really strong contractions to help you with pushing the baby out. So spleen 6, gallbladder 21, and if you need it, stomach 36 for that extra bit of oomph energy.
Exactly.
We have some beautiful points to help you deliver the placenta, because sometimes you feel like you've reached the end, you've got your baby on your chest, it's all exciting and amazing, and everyone else is kind of twiddling their thumbs going, hello, where's the placenta? You've still got a little bit to go.
Yeah.
And sometimes this can take a little bit longer. And it's really good to use these points at that stage to try and help bring the placenta through.
So these points, yeah, we've got gallbladder 21, top of the shoulder. Why? Because it descending energy, descends the baby out before. Now it's going to help descend the placenta out. And then we've also got spleen 6, again, to help the uterus contract to get your placenta out as fast as possible. So we don't want everything to shut down just yet. We need everything to keep going to get that placenta out beautifully. Establishing breastfeeding can be tricky, and that's why we wanted to give you some points to help with that. Because they can do a lot of this because you're holding a little baby, and because you're holding them for such a long time, even though they're tiny, breastfeeding takes quite a while at the beginning.
And also for new mums, you're sometimes not quite sure what you're doing, so you're trying to work on the attachment, you're getting the baby's head, and you're like, oh, I've got it, and you're in this position. That's not so great.
Yeah, so we need you to relax the shoulders, and pressing down on gallbladder 21 really helps to do that, and it helps with the milk to be able to flow nicely. And the other point that is great is and you can do this for yourself, is you can press this PC6 point again because it's really calming, and breastfeeding can be quite an anxiety-provoking task because it can be a little bit painful, can be tricky, you're not sure if you're doing it right, so this just really helps to calm you down and get it all flowing beautifully. We'd like to tell you just a little bit about the postnatal period, or some people call it the 4th trimester, because it kind of is, isn't it?
It is, and it's something that a lot of women are just really underprepared for. And we don't have a clue really what we're going to be like as mothers. We can think we have an idea, but then when we're in it, there's so much to learn, and there's so much going on, both physically and hormonally, emotionally, energetically. It can be quite a tumultuous period.
Yeah, the biggest shake-up of
Absolutely.
most women's lives.
Relationships, everything. But something that was really overlooked in our culture is making the time and space and support for it. Whereas in Eastern culture, there's this concept, this reality really of the golden month. And that's for the month preceding the birth. Women are totally supported by their tribe, by the mother, the mother-in-law. Everyone just brings in food, and she doesn't have to really do anything.
No, nothing.
Except look after the baby, except focus on
sleep.
the attachment and bonding and sleep.
Because you're up all through the night, and so yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so if you can't do just that, which many of us can't, but if you can, you can ask people to, if they ask what can they bring, you can say food. And if you're wondering what sorts of things to bring, protein rich foods are great.
Not the chocolates.
Yeah, so it really helps the breast milk to flow. So that's important, and it gives you your energy back.
Because there's a lot of recovery to do in the period after birth, and there's also a lot of things to produce, like breast milk.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of nutrients. You've just spent the last 9-10 months giving all your best nutrients to your baby, and you've just run the marathon of birth, and you need to recover. So the best way of doing that is through your diet, and another way of doing that is through Chinese herbs.
Yeah, for generations, women have taken Chinese herbs after birth. Often the mums will put them in the soups that they're cooking, and then if they need a little bit more, if they need more breast milk, if there's constipation issues, if there's hemorrhoids,
Mastitis.
you name it, there's a
Supply.
Chinese herbal formula for it. I mean, we've produced a beautiful postnatal formula that's a gorgeous general formula for lots of women to try, and if you do have any specific needs, then we do offer Skype consultations. There will be a URL up on the screen so you'll know where you can purchase those herbal remedies from if you are interested.
And how you can contact us if your situation is slightly different and you need more individualised care.
We wanted to give you some tips towards the end of these videos because we've had so many clients with so much feedback, and we want to let you know what we've learned through them and through our own births. So, do you want to tell them?
Sure. So many women go into birth feeling just a little bit okay, maybe it's going to be all right with their partner as the sole support person. And look, let's face it, a lot of the partners are guys that have never been to a birth before.
And often you haven't either.
Exactly, it could be your
The
first
blind
birth.
leading the blind. That can be difficult.
And it's a tall order to ask a guy who is obviously in a man's body and never experienced a birth to guide you throughout this process. So you really need to decide.
Think about who you want there. So would you like a doula? Do you want your mum or your sister or your friend or someone who's been involved with birth before? Or someone that's going to be really positive, someone that's going to be able to be there for you emotionally, someone that's going to be able to coach you through it, because you need it.
And look, if you do decide that, like many women do, that they only want their partner to be there, then you've got to work for it. He's got to train up, he's got to practice, and hopefully you've learnt through these videos some really good techniques to help you connect and help him have also more confidence going into the birth to support you better.
That's right. So we want you to think about the earth. You know, it's important to ground down into the earth when you're birthing and use your voice and do all of those things and read widely and make sure you've gone to birth preparation courses so you know what to expect physiologically. You know what the hormones are going to be doing. And you know you've gone through some of your stuff beforehand, because it will come up.
It comes up.
In a big way.
And what can really be helpful is to trust yourself, to know that this body, your woman's body, is designed to do this. Your body is so smart. Your baby is so smart. Everything that's happening to you is happening for a reason. It's all positive. It's the first time you've experienced this level of pain, let's face it, in a really positive and healthy way.
It is, and I think like what's different in our culture is we're always used to getting away from pain. You know, we take a Panadol, or it's like pain is often a sign that something's wrong. And so this is really the first time where it's not that, and it's quite hard to change that mindset. So there's loads of courses out there that look at changing the mindset, and that's super important.
And help you to embrace that pain, because you want that contraction to come. You want it to be strong. You want it to be effective. It's doing its job to bring your baby closer to you.
That's right. But there's something else that's called a crisis of confidence. And this happens to the best of us. It happens if you're a marathon runner and you are about to run a marathon. You're just not literally running anywhere. It's all happening in here. So it happens to the best of us, and what happens, you'll get to a point where you think you can't do it anymore, and it's totally normal. And that's when you need a really good coach to get you through it.
So yeah, it's good to discuss this with your birth partners beforehand. Go, what's going to happen if and when I say I'm over it? And inform them that you want them to support you through it until you've been doing an amazing job, which you have, that you have the capacity to keep going. Just hang in there and use some of these tools that we've been teaching you as well. Bring them in, have them ready in your toolkit, ready to go, so that when that crisis comes up, everybody knows what to do. It's not just like, let's all just race for the epidural, or let's race for the cesarean, or what the next thing.
You don't need sympathy in labour, you need empathy, and lots of it.
Yeah. And lots of techniques, lots of strong encouragement, lots of getting in there, getting hands-on, and really getting into it.
So thank you for watching our videos. We hope we've really inspired you and empowered you. We're the Red Tent Mums, and we wish you a beautiful birth.